go out to the same parties, the same social functions, you know, passing information to each other. And so, you know, if the anchor of a big time news show says, hey guys, guess what? Nancy Pelosi and her husband are insider trading, then they have to think about, oh, well, am I burning a bridge? Am I cutting off access to, you know, information that she or her staff might be feeding me that I can break news?
Tulsi Gabbard recently made an appearance in a much discussed interview with Joe Rogan. This conversation seemed more direct, uncensored, and impromptu than the typical polished political interviews with well-planned lines and controlled responses. The debate swiftly became contentious as it went on, and the response onto the internet only grew stronger.
You have to report it. You have to be transparent about it. Most of Congress has failed to do even that. So it did nothing to stop it. It says, you just got to tell us. And most people are like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you anyway.
And there's no repercussions?
And there's well, they might get like a $100 fine.
As soon as she entered the studio, she started talking candidly. She didn't hold back once she got going. Tulsi Gabbard made a series of outspoken attacks of Democratic Party policies. Joe Rogan was genuinely taken aback by how candid and passionate the exchange became. It didn't seem forced or practiced. Gabbard's message was clear-cut, incisive, and hard to ignore. Many viewers were left wondering if significant changes to the present political system were indeed necessary by the conclusion of the conversation. This was not the kind of interview that gradually gains traction. It made a strong impact right away and is probably going to stick with you.
It's a complicated union.
Yeah, it is. It is that.
It really is. Between money and politics. And it's just like, it's, I mean, it would be wonderful if we could get money entirely out of politics. If the only way that a politician could make money while they're in office is just their salary.
Joe Rogan swiftly shifted the discussion to a subject that is seldom given much thought in significant political debates: the power and wealth associated with public service. He made a strong case that politicians should only be able to support themselves on their government salary. Rogan argues that public officials should not benefit from privileged information or unusual financial opportunities while many Americans face economic hardship. The discussion then turns to the widely debated stock trading controversy involving Nancy Pelosi, with Tulsi Gabbard joining the conversation and shifting its focus toward concerns about political accountability.
I'm sure you're aware of the Nancy Pelosi stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
It's wild.
It is. And look, I think this is one of the good things about social media is, of course, the mainstream corporate media is hardly covering it at all.
Tulsi Gabbard jumped right into the subject. She instantly concentrated on what she sees as the true problem, which is the disparity in the way the media selects which political issues are continuously covered and which ones are swiftly dropped. Gabbard contrasted the extensive media coverage of one high-profile court case with what she viewed as much more limited attention to questions surrounding Nancy Pelosi's stock trades. She argued this reflected what she sees as a double standard in how some major media outlets choose which stories to emphasize.
Pelosi is doing these trades within this period of time of Nancy Pelosi voting on this bill or bringing a bill to the floor, because we've got to remember, Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House, nothing happens without her knowing about it or giving her stamp of approval.
Tulsi Gabbard claims that since Nancy Pelosi is in charge of determining legislative priorities, very few significant initiatives pass Congress without her knowledge. Gabbard said her experience gave her insight into how major decisions move through government. She also referenced financial trades involving Paul Pelosi that critics have questioned because of their timing, while others view them as ordinary investing or coincidence. In her view, debates like these contribute to public distrust and a growing sense of disconnection from the political process.
You as a member of Congress or your spouse or your adult child should not be allowed to conduct insider trading on issues that Congress is dealing with, which really covers every issue under the spectrum. They can't pretend anymore that they haven't been doing it. And yet, even as Nancy Pelosi, like, okay, fine, we'll draft legislation, but Congress is about to take a break as they head into the general elections. And once again, she's refusing to bring the bill to the floor for a vote.
Where people start looking at it and say, oh, well, how much money have you made?
Yeah.
Like, why are you worth $200 million? That's crazy. You make $200,000 a year. You're worth $200 million. Like, what's going on?
Tulsi Gabbard brought up Barack Obama as another example, pointing out that he allegedly had a net worth of little more than $2 million when he took office. His post-presidency book agreements and speaking engagements are credited by supporters with his subsequent prosperity. She also cited Nancy Pelosi, whose family fortune is claimed to stem from long-term investment and financial choices despite her congressional pay. The bigger issue highlighted is whether such financial benefits come purely from genuine income and investments, or if political access and timing may produce advantages that merit more study. Both Gabbard and Joe Rogan returned to this point throughout the talk.
Look at like Paul Pelosi's stock, like what his record is. He's better than Warren Buffett and George Soros, who are like wizards.
Yeah, exactly.
Those guys are the best, and he's better than them.
Yep.
But it's 100% insider trading. If you think about what they put Martha Stewart away in jail for.
Paul Pelosi's investment performance during Nancy Pelosi's stint as Speaker has been criticized for being exceptionally successful. Nonetheless, official justifications refer to long-term investing experience and financial knowledge. Tulsi Gabbard questioned if some investment timing may be influenced by access to private legislative information, particularly when transactions seem to coincide with significant political events. She also took issue with the media's alleged uneven coverage of political individuals' financial disputes. As the debate progressed, Joe Rogan remarked how different these assertions seem when addressed directly rather than mediated via headlines or social media.
She's not the only one, obviously.
No.
There are, and this is where, the quote-unquote uniparty in Washington has been blocking this kind of legislation from being passed because they're both benefiting from it. We had, I think, there are Republican and Democrat senators in the lead up towards COVID who knew about it, right, and started making different investments.
At this time, Tulsi Gabbard enlarged her case beyond a single person. In her perspective, the problem is not restricted to one strong individual. She said that Nancy Pelosi is only one of the most obvious instances of a much bigger trend involving several senators. Gabbard argues that concerns extend beyond one individual, saying questions have been raised about lawmakers making financial trades while holding access to non-public information. She views this as a structural issue, emphasizing that public officials should prioritize serving the public over personal financial gain.
It's just crazy that it's legal.
Yeah.
It's really egregious, and it's shocking how complicit the mainstream media is in ignoring it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think that there's some discussion, or is it just an understanding that you'll lose access to these people if you highlight this? Like, why are they not covering that?
It's like this chummy insiders club in Washington, and a common term that's being used now is called permanent Washington, which really fits when you think about it, because it kind of encapsulates that whole swampy ecosystem.
According to Tulsi Gabbard, such situations endure because the media may sometimes encourage particular narratives instead of continually holding authority responsible. Gabbard argues that editorial decisions often reflect broader media trends rather than isolated mistakes. She cites coverage of the Hunter Biden laptop story as an example, saying it contributed to declining trust among those who believe political bias can influence how information is presented. Others, however, view the reporting as a cautious, journalistic response during an election period.
They all go out to the same parties, the same social functions, passing information to each other. And so, if the anchor of a big-time news show says, hey, guys, guess what? Nancy Pelosi and her husband are insider trading, then they have to think about, oh, well, am I burning a bridge? Am I cutting off access to, information that she or her staff might be feeding me that I can break news on, and all this stuff. So, it's like you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And if you start pissing off certain people, then you get kicked out of the cool kids club.
Tulsi Gabbard says that access, not simply news value, helps explain why the Pelosi story didn't get the same consistent attention some anticipated. She adds journalists in Washington typically depend on top political officials for background material, briefings, and insights. She asserts that because of this reliance, connections may sometimes affect coverage, resulting in varying degrees of scrutiny for certain politicians. According to her, a figure's value as a source may influence reporting standards. Gabbard compares this with who frequently skips established media and talks straight to the people. She contends that how stories are reported may be impacted by these disparities in access and incentives.
This issue's come up before. It came up years ago. Congress said, okay, we're going to take action to stop insider trading and make sure that elected leaders aren't benefiting off of insider information. And so they passed the Stock Act, which did nothing. Essentially, it just said, okay, if you are going to trade in stocks or buy or sell stocks, you have to report it. You have to be transparent about it. Most of Congress has failed to do even that. So it did nothing to stop it. Says you just got to tell us. And most people are like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you.
When considered together, Tulsi Gabbard's comments convey a sense of postponed responsibility rather than a sense of personal or political triumph. Critics contend that some aspects of the democratic system have historically permitted the exploitation of institutional authority for political or personal gain, or to evade examination. They believe that there are now more obvious indications that this system is under more strain. Going forward, the expectation is straightforward. Accountability should be applied uniformly to all public officials, regardless of their party, rank, or level of influence.